What if your biggest asset is right under your feet? Landgate shows you how your land could be worth more than you ever imagined. From clean energy to carbon credits, we're uncovering the fortune hidden in plain sight. So let's go over how Landgate can help you make money from your property. So if you go to landgate.com, the first thing you'll notice is that they are connected to the MLS. And this is a really exciting new feature. Actually, they've redone their whole user interface and it's so user-friendly now. That's why I wanted to do this video. I'm really excited about all these new features. But they've also connected to the MLS. So you can see with these green dots, all available listings across the US. And you also have a tab here on the left that lets you scroll through various listings. So as a land buyer or seller, you can actually use Landgate a lot like Zillow. What's really exciting for land buyers is that Landgate helps you streamline your due diligence or do basic due diligence. You can do this by clicking on a particular listing. When you do that, just like with Zillow, it'll pull up images and a basic overview. But Landgate now has this new tab, Value Indices, and this is a really powerful tool to give you a general estimate of how valuable the property may be for various kinds of development. So they give you a score, a basic score on a scale of 0 to 100 for how well the property can be used for a particular use case. And Landgate focuses on the energy landscape. So we're looking at an overall land value score, solar energy, wind energy, EV charging, carbon credits, oil and gas, mining in general, and then carbon sequestration and water. With all of these numbers, they give you the value index in a bar chart form that compares the value of that property to the county and state average. So if you know you want to buy land in a particular region, you can compare the property you're looking at to the region's average to help you understand whether that property is going to be able to generate more value for you than the average property in the area or other properties that you are looking at. But of course, these indices are not just useful for land buyers during due diligence, they're also useful for current landowners because they show you various ways that you can unlock value from your property that you may not have thought of before. So let's look at each of these indices in a little more detail so that you can better do your own analysis either on a property you want to purchase or on a property you already own. So if you want to search for a particular property, Landgate allows you to search by address, latitude and longitude, parcel, and owner name. I'm going to search by parcel. So I'm going to look for California, Kern County, and then I'm putting in an APN number. Okay, so then you click on the particular property and it pulls up all the value indices. Now, starting with land, this is an overall valuation of the property. Again, it's on a score of 0 to 100. You have this bar chart. You can compare the property to the county and state average. The really cool thing is they give you an estimate of total land value. Now, just like with Zillow's estimate, this is an estimate. You should, of course, do your own market research, but as an initial due diligence step, this can be very helpful. So you get the overall total land valuation and price per acre. But let's get into the tabs that are really going to help you unlock potential from a property. So the first is solar energy. Now we are in the desert of California, so this is a great place for solar energy. You see we're about as high on this value index as you can possibly get. We're at a whopping 98%. And as with the land valuation, Landgate gives you an estimated monetary potential for this index. So you're looking at an estimated solar lease payment per acre per year. So this is how you can estimate how you can make money from your property with the solar lease. They also tell you an estimate of the possible number of solar panels you can put on the property and possible parcel max generating capacity from solar. So really cool information if you want to make some money from your property with a solar lease. Now, for overall due diligence, they have a buildable acreage tab, which gives you some information about the topography. And this is useful pretty much regardless of what you want to do with the property because it can tell you whether the property is in a flood zone, a wetland. It gives you some sense of the topography. And it also points out whether there are existing oil and gas wells, pipelines, water wells, all of these features. So some really useful due diligence information here. But the coolest part, I think, is that in this tab, as well as the wind and EV charging tabs, they give you electrical infrastructure around the property. So we're talking about substations, and transmission lines. I haven't seen any other software that gives you this information, and it's really important when evaluating the potential for development for any kind of energy generating capacity, because you generally need to be within 1 to 2 miles of an existing substation and transmission line if you want to lease your property for wind, solar, EV charging, or again, any other kind of energy development. They show you on the map where the nearest substations and transmission lines are, but they also tell you here the distance to the closest substation and transmission line. Here, we're very close because there's already solar development in the area. We're very close to substations and transmission lines, which is, again, probably why the score is so high overall. And the wind energy tab, you get a similar setup. You have your score from 0 to 100 and an estimated wind lease payment in acres per year, as well as the potential number of wind turbines you could fit on the property and potential max capacity. As with the solar tab, you get the same electrical infrastructure tab to see where you are in terms of substations and transmission lines, but you also get an average annual wind speed, which is, of course, very important for wind development. And even if you're not looking to lease out your property, you can use these tabs, both the solar and wind tab, to think about off-grid infrastructure you may want to put on the property for your own purposes. So if you wanted to put up your own wind turbine, you can get a sense of how much you may be able to generate from your property in order to power your house or your farm. Now, we also have EV charging, and this is something I bet many of you haven't thought of as a way to generate money from a property. But there's a huge push right now to develop more EV chargers. With the Jobs and Infrastructure Act, I believe the goal is 1 every 100 miles. So we need a lot of new EV chargers. And landowners in areas that are suitable for EV charging can now make money by either selling their property or leasing it for EV charging development. So as with wind and solar, you get a score, a potential value index. Here we're pretty much right at the midpoint. And then you get a breakdown of how Landgate is thinking about the overall score. So again, you want to be close to substation and transmission lines. You see we're very high in those categories, but you also generally want to be close to an exit ramp. A lot of EV chargers, as you can imagine, are going to be right off exit ramps for good reason. There's a corridor site score, which has to do with how close the property is, I believe, to amenities. And that's because EV chargers, they're off of exit ramps, but they're also often located within existing commercial corridors. So you'll see EV chargers within parking lots of big retail stores, places like that. So this can give you an estimate of where, based on various categories, your parcel falls in terms of potential for EV chargers. Okay, so carbon credits. I'm going to go over this briefly. Carbon credits are another thing that I think many landowners aren't thinking about right now, but you should, especially if you're buying property, because in the future, these are likely going to become bigger and bigger players in the vacant land valuation space. It could go either way, but it's definitely worth thinking about. So if you're not familiar with carbon credits are a way that you can make money by storing carbon on a parcel of land. And there are generally two ways you can store carbon. You can store carbon through trees or through the soil. Now, this particular property has a low index, mainly because we're in the desert and there aren't trees, but we can still look at how these tabs function. So they break down estimate between tree carbon credits and soil carbon credits. Get some basic information about any existing trees on the property, and then they'll give you, if there are trees on the property, the potential carbon offset estimate for the current year, and then a carbon credit estimate, again, per acre per year. So this is essentially leasing your property to store carbon. And then in the reforestation tab, they give you potential acre for reforestation. So there's separate carbon credits for when you're actually planting back trees. Finally, they give you soil carbon estimate. So how much carbon you could store in the soil, and then your estimated lease payment per year for that soil storage. Right, and I just pulled up another parcel of land. This one's in Georgia in Brantley County, so we can look at oil and gas potential. Now, this is one with a pretty high oil and gas score, 70, much higher than the county average, although Georgia as a whole has pretty high score for oil and gas. So, as with solar and wind, you get an estimated oil, gas lease value, so price per acre. And then if we scroll out, you'll see that there's a legend. They'll show you whether there are existing oil and gas wells nearby. In this case, there actually aren't many, but this is really great information because in many parts of the country, you may not be buying mineral rights. You may just buy surface rights. And when you do this, even if you have no interest in producing oil or gas, leasing your property yourself, someone else may decide to exercise their mineral rights, come in and mine on your property. And you don't want that if you've built a home, probably. So you can go in and check if there are existing oil and gas wells in the nearby vicinity, how many there are, and what their status is. So if they're abandoned or if they're currently producing. And if there are a lot of wells, it's probably a good sign that you want mineral rights, either because that's going to be a way that you can generate money from the property, or because you want to make sure that someone isn't going to come in and start drilling on the land once you've built a home. And finally, we have a mining tab for other kinds of minerals that could be extracted from the property. And it gives you information about the underground topography of the property with an estimate of the kind of commodities you may be able to extract from that land. Now, I want to go back to our Kern County property because for areas that have scarce water, there is a water score here, which could be very useful when you're looking. All right. I love these value indices. They're really great for due diligence. And as I've mentioned multiple times now, a great way to think about how you may be able to make a little more money from property you already own. So I hope you check out Landgate. I found it to be very useful, and I think you will too.